Hello everybody and welcome to Astrology. My name's Samuel, I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine and I am going to run through this glorious blue Sagittarian full moon coming up this weekend on the 31st of the 5th to 6th. Now, there's really nothing like a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius to restore faith in life, as I say. I know this moon pretty well as I have a Sag moon in my 8th house in my birth natal chart, but we can feel the difference anyway. I mean, this moon's going to feel a lot different compared to the last Scorpio full moon, which I think was pretty, judging from all my clients and patients I've seen, has been it was quite a heavy one for people to experience. That one, not an easy full moon, I would say, at all. But I think this one is going to feel a lot more optimistic, actually, because most people with Sag moons or sign of Sagittarius is quite an upbeat kind of sign, the old Saggies, I'm sure people know plenty of them. But this full moon, in a nutshell, the spotlight's going to be the biggest, the spotlight on this full moon will be the bigger picture, right? And full moon's obviously about releasing, letting go, and their times of completions. So wherever that takes place in your natal chart, placement in the chart will be, as usual, very important to pay attention to. But blue moons occur usually when there's 2 full moons in a month. So they call this the blue moon under folklore. And this full moon's going to be really potent, actually, because we've got a Sagittarian moon, and then of course what rules Sagittarius is a sign of Jupiter, and it's in the sign of exaltation. So Jupiter likes sitting well in that sign. Exaltation, the sign will be Cancer. So what that means in astrological terminology for people who don't really know that, then there's a mutual reception between the moon and Sagittarius, and they're both receiving each other, and this is why it will be extremely powerful on that level, expressing themselves through those signs. So full moons can always increase emotions, heighten psychic sensitivity, and further enhance our intuitive faculties, as most of us have experienced. Generally, Sagittarius moons, the moon's always how we react when we look at charts or birth natal charts. It's how we instinctually can react to things, especially on that emotional level. And Sag moons really react enthusiastically and idealistically based on beliefs and philosophy, right? So, and the Sagittarian sign is extremely goal orientated, because we've got to remember, when the centaur, the animalistic qualities of the half human, half animal, the centaur, with it firing its arrow, it's pointing its arrow to the center of the universe. So Sagittarians really, or the sign of Sagittarius, really encourages us to have not to set mediocre goals. Don't settle for mediocrity. If you're going to set a goal, set it so far reaching that you really have to really level up and expand yourself way above the average level, right? Average is your enemy, right? According to the Sagittarian. So when they're firing the archer to pointing that arrow to the center of the universe, you really need to have your vision so grand that, in terms for you to enable to actually grasp it and reach it, you would have leveled up so well within your inner self that you will be a pretty awesome person by the end of that, so to speak. So if we have been actively pursuing our goals from the last new moon in Sagittarius 6 months ago, then we'll feel a lot of inner contentment now wherever that moon is placed in our natal astrology house, right? So, and Sagittarius moon can really probe us to question, to search for meaning, to keep our minds broad and have a buoyant attitude towards life. So this moon, which I'm very well familiar with because like I said I have one, makes us feel comfortable exploring, traveling, being outdoors and enjoying a sense of freedom. So Sag moons, and in particularly when one comes up within ourselves, right, we don't have to have this natal placement, but we can all feel that urge to want to go out and quest or search for meaning, maybe dig into some deeper philosophical subjects, ask those questions. Why am I here? What am I doing? What are we doing here? And what's the meaning of my own existence? Where did we come from? These kind of questions, the deeper ones. And so, in a nutshell, the themes around this moon are obviously going to be growth, abundance, wisdom, and opportunity. So, Sagittarius is mutable fire, which can give the drive to expand. Mutable fire it's flexible, it's adaptable, and it can give us a drive for expansion beyond our already established boundaries. And this is what Sag really likes to break free from. So, aspects to this moon for those people, astro nerds out there who like really going deeper and looking into this, we've got an applying trine to the planet Saturn and a separating trine from Neptune, and the trines are more harmonious aspects. The flow's quite nice, and it can be easy to kind of feel the essence of the other planetary placements in a trine. So Saturn's considered a malefic usually, and that depends on, obviously we need to look at what sign it's expressed through, and obviously we need to look at the sect, whether our chart's diurnal or nocturnal, depending on if the chart's going to work in our favor or not. The planet. And obviously Neptune in a separating trine, so there can be a bit of a mystical feel to it as well, a bit of more of an imaginary feel. We may, transcend our emotional sense of self on some level with that trine to Neptune. And then we've also got a really difficult kind of placement with Mars, which is in conjunct to this moon. And the inconjunctions are really what we call a quincunx, and these can come up in medical astrology, but they can, it's a very difficult angle, the quincunx, and it can tend to affect us more on that physical level. And I think the Martian principle can possibly, and I'll go through this when I go through the 12 rising signs, because certain houses will be more prone to this, but the Mars aspect, the inconjunction, can make us feel a little bit, I think we'll be feeling that Martian principle more within the physical body, because the moon does represent the body from a medical astrology point of view. And this is why usually when we look at medical astrology, the moon's probably one of the primary things we tend to look at, because the moon's it's a luminary. It's not considered a planet, but it's quite close to the Earth, and therefore the body's heavily affected by it. So I just wanted to throw that in. But on another level, right, of course, I always look at the decans, and I look at the tarot. Now, the decan, this full moon falls into the first decan of Sagittarius, which is known as the 8 of Sagittarius, the 8 of Wands. Most people in the tarot are familiar with that card, the 8 of Wands. It is strongly connected to the frequency of Mercury in Sagittarius. So it tends to have a lot of messages. Things happen with haste. There's a keen kind of intelligence and discrimination. It can make us react quickly to things and objectively. And also, which is really important to mention, when we get into astrology, these decans, right, are broken down into, they're broken into 3 segments. And so the first decan of this, because a lot of people aren't just general Sagittarians, right? So the first decan is connected to Aries. It's an Aryan Sagittarian energy. And this is where this energy, if people are born in that first decan as a sun sign, then they're going to be more of an Aryan Sagittarius quality, which means they embody more of the Aryan energies as well as the Sagittarians. This is really important, in my opinion, as an astrologer, because people generalize so much, say, oh yeah, I'm a Sagittarius. Okay, well, this is when we do a little bit more digging and we check out the astrological decans are important. So there's an Aryan feel to this Sagittarian energy coming up. This is what I'm trying to say here. So, which means there's going to be some haste, some swiftness to this Eight of Wands card, which it is. It's a very fast moving card. Things can come in quick. So there's haste, there's swiftness, there's productive and active energy to this full moon, right? Really active. So I would say definitely expect messages from, particularly when we look at what house placements it is in, but also busy schedules. Things can speed up for you around this moon as well. And we can also feel like we're working against the clock to achieve the goals that possibly we may have had a time limit on from the initiation from the last new moon in Sagittarius. And also maybe just putting pressure on ourselves to complete a project that we started 6 months ago in this sign. So there we go. It's connected to the Eight of Wands. And I personally think the Sabian symbol connected to this is interesting, right? As they all are. But the Sabian symbol connected to this full moon, we read it as 10 degrees Sagittarius, right? And the Sabian symbol is a golden haired goddess of opportunity. And the key word is reward. And the theme is looking beyond the surface appearances, which is, most people who are into astrology do this, right? This is why we do the divination arts, because we're not superficial. And, we want to probe deeper into life because, as we know out in the world, right, everyone just wears a mask. They're basically just, social lepers, a lot of people, and they're just wearing masks. And if you've done a lot of psychological digging and homework, well, eventually over a period of time, when that drops, then you generally find out the real creature behind it, if they really operate on that level, which a lot of people are these days. But this symbol speaks to the rewards guaranteed to the individual who is independent, self-reliant, and willing to work hard for what he wants. And this is what that Aryan Sagittarian energy brings in, because the Aries is the spirit of the entrepreneur, becoming self-reliant and independent. So the image of a golden-haired goddess of opportunity alludes to the individual who follows his dreams, creates his own fortune, and refuses to prejudge a situation or accept anything at face value. The emphasis on this symbol is on keeping an open and unconditioned mind. The individual who believes that bread can be made only from wheat might easily starve in a rye field. So implicit in this symbol is the principle that every organism possesses the secret of its own survival, and that self-knowledge is the key to success. So in its positive aspect, at its highest, this symbol represents self-confidence, an incredible sense of timing, or a knack for being at the right place at the right time. On the negative, opportunism or wild goose chasing. And so they talk about the accent of the day, on the day. So the accent is being in the right place at the right time to catch the brass ring. Luck plays an important role today. And luck is definitely connected to Sagittarius in a way, because it rules Jupiter, and Jupiter's connected to gambling and things like this. That's a topic for another time. But the opportunity lies in putting forth the effort to reap the benefits of the opportunities you are given. Be willing to continue in a course you know is right, even when you have to go it alone. And that's a really important thing to state, especially when it comes to goals or you're fulfilling your curriculum with your destiny, because you're always at times going to think, well, shit, am I actually really doing the right thing? Intuitively, I know I'm going for what I'm going for, but at times when the work gets quiet or the money doesn't come in and you feel lonely, a little lost and off center, or you go through the self-doubt. But I think the emphasis on this moon is telling us that, be willing to continue what you know is right, even if it feels things aren't going your way, or you can go it alone. And that's a really important thing to consider. And I was actually recently listening to a lot of very old Napoleon Hill lectures, and he wrote a great book called Outwitting the Devil. And a lot of that's about consistency in connection to building and wealth. The whole thing is not about wealth. It's doing something consistently. It's showing up for yourself, even though you don't have the applause from the crowd. And I feel this is what this Sabian symbol in connection to this moon is really stating. So the risk, they say, is guard against expecting others to carry you or cater to your whims. So don't lose your enthusiasm or abandon your goals just because you aren't continually receiving a pat on the back, just like I said. So for those of you guys out there, whoever's listening, that whenever it is you're going, whatever it is, we've all got it. In Taoism, we call it the three treasures, Jing, Qi, and Shen, and we have a curriculum to fulfill, and we're all here to fulfill something. And even if it's weird or eccentric, as you think some of your ideas are, how different, or especially if you've got a lot of Chiron in your chart, where you feel like a real maverick or an outsider with zero support from the crowd, you can feel quite alienated, then it's even more important to keep pursuing something, because ultimately with all these kind of things, we're just showing up for ourselves. And when we do that, I personally think that's the most important thing, and that's what success is all about. The crowds are relevant. As long as you're showing up for yourself, that is the main thing. Okay, that's my little short rant about the Sagittarian full moon. And now I'll just quickly go through the 12 rising zodiac signs. So we have Aries rising. We'll be having this full moon in the 9th house. So a full moon in this house will illuminate themes of higher education, travel, foreign cultures and lands, philosophy and belief systems. So Jupiter is currently transiting your 4th house, highlighting expansion on the home front. The moon can motivate us to get out of our comfort zones and explore and expand the mind. We may want to take the family overseas and explore the world. So the 9th house is all about that. Let's just, a lot of people with the moons natally in the 9th house actually tend to move overseas, because the moon can be all about our own homes, right? And where we want to live. It's where we seek sanctuary. So full moons are about so the possibility of moving to foreign lands, or maybe people with the Aries rising may be thinking about that. But full moons are about releasing, and there could be something within the home environment or within a family lineage that needs releasing at this time, giving you a greater sense of freedom. Taurus rising will be having this full moon in the 8th house. So this full moon for the Taurus will be experienced with depth, as this is in the house of psychological shedding. The 8th house is one of the houses of the psyche. It's a deep house. It's a house of hidden knowledge, occult knowledge. And a lot of people with natal moons in the 8th can be very sensitive to psychic undercurrents within their environments, and very good radars for sniffing out creatures, actually. But the in conjunction to Mars in the 1st house can make it harder to control your feelings at this time. The moon's on that difficult angle to Mars, and Mars, when the Martian energy is in the 1st house, we can feel really motivated actually, but that difficult angle there there can be a profound emotional experience at this time which can lead to personal growth and will release outdated patterns. This is a good time for letting go of shared resources as well as inherent belief systems that no longer serve you. So the moon played out through the planet Jupiter in the third, which is connected to how we think in terms of relationships with siblings and community, right? Because the third house is all about that. But in a nutshell, old thinking patterns will need to be let go of, particularly ones that are obstructing growth. Because the third house is all about the mind and how we use it. So conversations can happen with intimate partners that can bring healing, expansion, and growth at this time. We have the Gemini rising will be having this full moon in the 7th house. So the spotlight is on relationships, your clients and business partners. Jupiter is in this 2nd house, the house of finances. The house of finances rules your 7th house and 10th house as well. The house of career and public status. So whatever you've been working on from the last new moon in Sagittarius has the potential for recognition now. There could also be a financial merger at this time, or possibly a marriage because of the connection to the 7th. The planet Jupiter in the 2nd can suggest some big offers that can come your way through either business offers, or potentially you might get offered a wedding ring for those who are in a commitment or about to be committed, or already in a relationship. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. But Jupiter in this placement also shows how we feel valued in our relationships, and are we happy with the person we're by our side? Do we feel valued and loved, and does our relationship support our growth and expansion at this time? These can be questions that can come up. The in conjunction to the planet Mars in the 12th can reveal unconscious tension between you and your significant other. So issues will surface that will lead you to feeling issues can come up with that in conjunct with Mars, particularly in the 12th, that may leave you feeling attacked or actually under the defense of some kind when it comes to communications. So we have Cancer rising. We'll be having this full moon in the 6th house. This moon will activate your work, health, pets, and daily routines. The moon steers the ship of your destiny. It's the lord of your chart, so it's always important to pay attention to what the moon's doing for the Cancer rising. As the moon plays a big part in your health from a medical astrology point of view, as it rules the body, health is obviously going to come under the spotlight here. So the planet Jupiter is in your 1st house representing the body, which is a good time to be mindful of the expansion around the waistline, because when Jupiter enters the 1st house, we can actually put on weight. So it's a good time to just pay attention to all that. You'll be more sensitive to your body under this full moon. And Jupiter in the 1st can give you a more optimistic outlook on life, particularly with work and your daily routines. Generally, good things can happen when Jupiter transits, when it's hovering over the ascendant. I mean, I've noticed that myself a lot with my own chart, that some really good luck works in your favor, usually at that time. And it's also a good time to release and let go of old routines that have not served you well in the past and have affected your health. Leo rising will be having this full moon in the 5th house, the house of children, creativity, romance, risk-taking, hobbies, and dating. There can be creative breakthroughs, opportunities for love, pregnancy, and spending time with your children, as the 5th house is all about children. This is a great time for artistic and creative expression. The planet Jupiter is in your 12th, which can indicate expansion of creative ideas through spiritual practice or working in private behind the scenes. For those of you who are in retreat or doing a lot of meditation and things like this, there could be some good downloads that come. The side hustles that you've been working on can really come to light under this full moon. Having the sun in the 11th in opposition to the 5th can show that you're ready to share your creative endeavors with, or creative ideas with groups and networks. Virgo rising will be having this full moon in the 4th house. This full moon for you guys is like coming home, because the moon loves to be in the 4th house. And the energy around your home environment can feel intense at this time, with Jupiter transiting your 11th. This can be an expansive time for organizing parties and gatherings with your own home. Within your own home, the sun in opposition to this house with Uranus in this house can show disruptions, especially in the public arena. So the opposition to the 10th house, which is the public domain and arena, can show some disruptions around there. There can be chops and changes to your career. Some people may get laid off. Others will have dramatic shifts in the public eye. Either way, there may be something within your home environment that needs to be let go of, that can help balance how you feel about your career and work life. Libra rising will be having this full moon in the 3rd house. This is the house that deals with the mind, short distance travel, websites, podcasts, communications, neighbors, siblings. There's a lot of action happens in the 3rd house. This moon's playing out through your 10th house, as you have Cancer on the cusp of this house, which is your chart ruler, with your chart ruler Venus and Jupiter here as well. So expansion and growth are certainly on the cards when it comes to career at this time for you guys. There could be a big announcement made that is about your career or your relationship. The planet Saturn trine the moon from the 3rd house can indicate serious conversations to do with partnership deals that help further expand your career. Completions with technological projects can be completed at this time, as well as outmoded ways of communications. Scorpio rising will be having this full moon in the 2nd house, the house of money, resources, and personal value. This is your once a year money moon, actually, when the 2nd house is about finances. So this is the money moon year for you guys. The sun's in opposition to the 8th house, with the planet Uranus transiting there, can also bring sudden changes in terms of inheritances or merging finances with others. Other considerations will be putting energy into paying off debts, or thinking about how do I get more financial freedom. Jupiter is currently transiting the 9th house, which can stimulate beliefs around money. There may also be money spent on legal fees, travel, or higher education. Venus in the 9th squaring Saturn in the 6th can indicate scarcity mindset around money, so make sure you have the self-esteem and feel worthy of purchasing anything that benefits yourself to better yourself. The moon trine Saturn in the 6th can make you feel you need to tighten the purse strings a little bit, but overall it is a good time to reassess your relationship with money when the full moon's in this house. So it's a good time to do releasing rituals on abundance and blockages associated with wealth and abundance. Sagittarius will be having his full moon in the 1st house. So the spotlight will be on you with your full moon in the 1st house. Jupiter is currently transiting your 8th house, which will give you the optimism to do your psychological digging that is required to transform and claim your own personal power. This is a big one for the Sag rising. Jupiter is the lord of your charts, so pay attention to where it's moving in your charts as usual. When transiting the 8th house, much wisdom can be gathered from inner work, which can make you more optimistic about yourself. The opposition to the Sun and Uranus in the 7th house can bring some tension to how you operate with others. Physical changes can happen with the moon in the 1st, and having that in conjunction to Mars from the 6th. If you guys were working out or really trying to strengthen your body, with having that Mars in conjunction, it wouldn't have been an easy thing, but to do it requires a lot of discipline, and you got to channel a lot of your energy and libido into it. But I'd say it wouldn't have been easy, but it definitely would have been paid off for you guys have been trying to get yourself physically fit at this point in time. A Capricorn will be having this full moon in the 12th house. So the spotlight is on retreating, resting, recuperating, and recharging. Plenty of healing can take place at this time. Your moon plays out through the 7th house, the house of relationships, where Jupiter is currently transiting. This can indicate you could be working with a teacher or a partner at this time to learn about either your psyche, inner work, and spiritual work, understanding the unconscious, to, the psychological archetypes and all this to help your own inner growth. The moon trine Saturn in the 4th house can indicate karmic ties to the home, or maybe you have to take care of someone in the home. That can affect expansion of your current relationship. Home and relationships dynamics are pretty complex for you guys at this moment with the full moon, I'd say. But with Jupiter transiting the 7th house, if you're single, you may connect with a foreigner because Jupiter rules foreign lands. Space and distance can also be required at this time when it comes to relationships, as well as intuitive downloads on how to handle them. So generally a full moon in the 12th is a good time to pay attention to your dreams because you can get some good communications of how to deal with whatever it is you're going through at this point in time. Aquarius rising will be having this full moon in the 11th house. So this is a lively full moon for you guys, connecting to your networks, goals, wish fulfillments, and social gatherings. Jupiter's transiting your 6th house, indicating to be more optimistic in regards to your work routines, health routines, and general daily routines as well. So be optimistic about your work schedule, workplace, and it's a good time for expanding your own working environment. Or possibly you sometimes with Jupiter here, people want a little bit more freedom within that. But this moon is sextile the planet Pluto in your 1st house, actually suggesting huge transformation through groups and your identity and how you project yourself out into the world. So whenever Pluto transits the 1st house, it's something that there can be a major transformation with yourself, which is very obvious to others to observe and see. The moon is trying the planet Saturn in your chart ruler in the 3rd house, which suggests improvements with communications, writing, short distance travels, and actually how you use your mind. Saturn in the 3rd can indicate that the part of us needs to really discipline our mind and really take the time to understand our own thoughts and thinkings at this time. The Pisces moon will be having this full moon in the 10th house, the house of career, public recognition, and your own visibility in the world. This can be a time of launching a business, a job, or retiring. Jupiter is currently transiting your 5th house, where your creative urge at this time can be expressed through the 10th house of work. It can also be a time of announcing to the world that you're dating, getting married, or you're starting a new hobby of some kind, but you just want to tell everyone about it and share it with everyone. Because the 10th house is always like how you present yourself out to the world, or how the public perceives you as well. So this is a good time of letting go of old patterns in terms of how you present yourself to the world and opening up a more authentic path that serves your own creative evolution. So that's my brief take on the Sagittarius full moon coming up. I can feel it's going to be a lot more optimistic than the last one, like I said. And thanks for all the comments, guys. I haven't been posting anywhere near as much as I plan to, but I try to go at least try and do a video once a week when I can. So stay tuned, because I've got heaps of other topics on the back of my mind, and I appreciate the subscribers. So we'll touch base soon.